Hello and welcome to the Nature Unplugged podcast, where we are all about cultivating consciousness in the digital age. Let's get going. Well, hello and welcome to the Nature Unplugged podcast with me, your host, Sebastian Slovan, and with me, co-host Sonia Mohammed.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, Sonia.
Hi, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. And
It's quite early.
It is. Early
Okay.
morning for us.
Early morning podcast. We're ready, though. Okay, so today, very exciting, we're going to be talking about our philosophy and contract for wellness in the digital age. And so, are you looking for some practical tools and resources for staying balanced in our noisy world? Well, our philosophy and contract for wellness in the digital age is designed to do exactly that, Sonia.
Ooh.
Yeah. And the cool news, and part of the reason why we're doing this podcast, is they are now available to everyone for free on our website. Very exciting. So these are great tools to help keep ourselves accountable and stay in balance. And really, that's the focus of this episode. We're going to take a look at our philosophy and contract, and definitely stay tuned to see how to get access to this amazing resource. Before we jump in, updates. Sonia?
Important. Yeah. So, as you know, we launched our book last week, Experience Nature Unplugged, A Guide to Wellness in the Digital Age. It came out on Monday, March 1st. Very exciting. It was a pretty busy week for us. In a good way. In a good way. I was very tired by the time we got to the weekend, but we did some great interviews. We got some good press. And I think most special of all, we reached bestseller on Amazon,
On the Amazon. Yeah, that was very exciting. That was great.
Yeah, I got some screenshots of it.
Oh, no, Sonia.
It's that early. My alarm just went off. The ebook version of Experience Nature Unplugged comes out on Monday, March 15th. So paperback's out already. Ebook's coming out soon. And we are excited, as Sebastian said, to share that the philosophy and contract are available now for free on our website. They are also included in the back of the book. 2 great ways to get it available to you now.
Yeah. Thank you for the updates. Anything else?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, let's jump into it. So we're going to be talking about the philosophy and contract. And I just want to start out by saying this is... I want to get into the background, the history of this, a little bit of context for people. And I do want to say up front that this is going to be, I think the philosophy and contract are a lot more, not valuable, but it'll make a lot more sense in conjunction with the book.
Got it.
Yeah, so I think that's an important thing. I think it can still be a useful tool. And if you're looking for making it even more awesome, the book is a really good companion for the philosophy and contract.
Yeah, because the book, it prompts, some deep reflective work. You sort of engage with the content in a different way. And then the contract and philosophy are really ways to put that into action, to make them real and tangible. So, definitely work on their own, but definitely better with the book.
Definitely. Yeah, well said. Okay, so let's talk about the history of the philosophy and contract for some context.
Let's.
Okay, so, this is something... We've been doing this work for a while now, since 2012. Whoa. And particularly with coaching and working with families, one thing a question we often got asked was, do you guys have a contract? Do you folks have a contract? And I kind of at first I don't want to put words in your mouth, but we were resistant to the idea of having a contract because we didn't want to dictate sort of the rules for people to follow. I think we were more interested. We're giving people suggestions. Here's our tools and tips, and find a way to make it work for you. And our perspective, I think, over the years has shifted when we've sort of dabbled with doing some contracting stuff ourselves. And I think we came to the other side, or came to the realization that this is actually a very powerful tool for keeping accountable, for goal setting, for putting some of these intangible things into more concrete terms.
Yeah, definitely. And it's what we really like about it, or what I guess I particularly really like about it, is it's something that's worth coming back to sort of frequently. Like, I'm excited we're doing this podcast because it's been a little bit now since we've done one for ourselves. And so we get
That's
to sort
true.
of, go through the experience again. Because it changes, our,
Yeah.
our needs and stuff change.
Yeah. And I guess maybe before we, I want to share a little bit more of the background, but just to give people a sense of what it is, if they're confused about a philosophy and contract for wellness. So, I mean, generally speaking, and Sonia, jump in here if you need.
Yeah.
But the philosophy is it's a kind of a few sentences, a short paragraph that helps broadly guide your philosophy for how you want to interact with, in this case, technology, screens, and nature. So it's super broad. We're going to dive into that more deeply. It's a short paragraph that can be, it can be printed out somewhere you see, but that can be used as an individual, in a partnership, or as a family. And the contract is like more the specifics, like when are you going to do what, and what are the ground rules for yourself, your partnership, your family.
Yeah, so the philosophy becomes sort of a North Star. You're guiding concepts and ideas really tied to your values. And the contract, on the other hand, is, like you said,
Contract.
I don't know why I extended it. Is much more concrete.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Let's jump in.
No. I think we'll get into that more specifically, but I think it's important to share, or I want to share that when we were doing our master's program, leadership studies, one of the things that I found really effective was, one of the things early on we did was develop our leadership philosophy. So we were studying different theories, philosophies, leadership practices, and one thing was, it was really cool to come up with our own individual leadership philosophy. And similar to that was sort of I think the impetus for the idea of creating the philosophy for wellness in the digital age, because it wasn't a leadership contract. It wasn't like what you're going to do and by when, but it was more general. If you got off course a little bit, it was a thing you could go to quite easily and get back on track again, aligning with values or aligning with purpose and that sort of thing. And I found it really effective.
Yeah. And I think it's also useful to share that, we didn't sit down and write that in 15 minutes. It evolved and continued to grow with us.
Yeah. It still does.
Yeah.
Totally. And so, I think both of them, they're not necessarily set in stone, but the philosophy is more of a living document. Mm-hmm. A living document. Is that the right way to say it?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else in the background?
No, I think that's it. I think that's a good summary of the origin story of the philosophy and contract.
Absolutely. Okay, let's jump into it. Let's start with the philosophy for wellness in the digital age. And again, I just spoke about this sort of briefly here, but basically, to be more specific, the purpose of doing the philosophy is to help you build your personal, family, or team philosophy for wellness in the digital age. And in our case, so there's some specific prompts here. So it might be a little bit out of context unless you're looking at this thing, but, some of the prompts are around technology use. So obviously technology there's pros and cons of technology, and it's really getting in touch with how you or how your family wants to be using technology moving forward. Mm-hmm. And then we do the same thing with nature, right? Nature, less pros and cons. There still are, but nature is a core part of being well in the digital age. And, what does connection with nature look like to you? Because it can be different for different people. Mm-hmm. And then we also tie in some stuff around, time and values. And this, again, it's a little bit out of context unless you do a deeper dive in the book. But, it's, I think, realizing that we're not guaranteed any specific amount of time here. And knowing that life is short and we don't have a set amount of time, how do we really want to spend this time? So tying into that, and then your core values. So what really matters to you? Does family matter? I don't know.
Yeah.
What matters to you? And tie that into philosophy. So there's some some prompts going into the philosophy.
Well, and I think really the time and values piece is the umbrella of, right, like you said, time is finite. We don't have endless amounts of it. And so what's really important, and how can we make sure we're spending our time on those things that are important? And in that, sort of acknowledging that technology can be quite distracting. It can take us away from the things we find important, and can sort of create time vortexes, like all of a sudden you spent 3 hours on social media.
Is it vortices?
Vortices, yeah, it might be.
I don't know.
I don't know. It sounds cooler than vortexes. And then we sort of lose sight of values, priorities, etc. And also we tend to be inside a bit more. So how can we get back outside?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this was something that definitely we started to do with our clients, and it began to be especially I think in families, it began to be like this really powerful exercise for people to do over the course of either a retreat or coaching session. It's an awesome practice.
Yeah.
Should we give an example?
Yeah,
Or
I
no,
think
what
we
were you
should.
gonna say?
Yeah, we can give an example. I was just going to say, when you answer sort of those 3 separate prompts, they become really the building blocks that let you sort of coherently and cohesively write a philosophy. But I think, sharing an example would be
Okay.
really useful.
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay. So this is an example, not Seb and my philosophy, though maybe we'll share that one day. This is actually a slightly tweaked previous client one that we thought was really a good example of what this can look like. So she wrote, "We use technology with purpose and intention in ways that serve us rather than deplete us. We strive to be present with each other as a family and make space for quality time by having dinner together, playing games, picnics, and other activities. We go on fun family adventures on a monthly basis. We achieve balance by taking time to get outside and move regularly, and by taking short unplugged breaks throughout our day. We send our tech to bed by 9 p.m. each evening, and this helps us create tech-free time on a nightly basis. This is an opportunity to read a physical book, stretch, relax, meditate, pray, or whatever serves us best to get a good night's sleep. We will counter the impact of the attention economy by participating in attention-building activities like yoga, mindfulness, time in nature, etc. on a daily basis. We'll be there to help remind each other that family is a priority over technology." So this is I like this example. It sort of weaves together some broader guiding ideas with some more tangible ones. And, these are all going to look really different and be very individual.
Right. There's no right or wrong with philosophy. And this is someone who had done some work with us for a while. So, they were familiar with things like the attention economy and all these different things that we had talked about previously in our work together. And I think that's also kind of a longer example. So it could be quite short, just 2 or 3 sentences. But that was, I think, a really good one. It's sort of like, right, I think especially as we'll move into this, but especially alongside a contract, which is, again, the more like hardcore boundaries, it's a really powerful tool.
Yeah. And in the download that you can get on our website, there is a template for the philosophy where it's sort of got a cool border and frame, and it's pretty, and you can write your philosophy in it and then print it out and potentially, hang it somewhere.
I'd say frame it.
Frame it.
Put it in your living room.
Yeah. Centerpiece.
Post it on your bathroom mirror.
Yeah.
It's a little big for that.
Yeah. Well, you can shrink it down.
Shrinky dink it.
Shrink it. Yeah,
Okay.
There you go. Make it a craft.
Make it a craft. Okay, so that's basically a general overview of the philosophy for wellness in the digital age. Okay, now the contract.
Ooh.
This is a little more hardcore.
Yep.
Okay, and I think particularly the contract is, again, it really goes in line with the different sections of the book. So it's still valuable, I think, without the book.
It's definitely valuable without the book. I appreciate.
Trying to sell the book.
Yeah,
here.
I know, I get it. No, it's certainly valuable.
You got to
can
work
put
with
it.
me.
Yeah, my bad. Improv's not my strength. So it's great though because it offers a lot of ideas and some of our favorite tips and how to put them into action. And then you can, if you hate one of them, you can cross it out. If you don't see something that'd be really meaningful to you, add it in. I wouldn't say it's as much of a living document as your philosophy, but it again will also sort of change over time.
Right.
Yeah.
And the contract really is about offering concrete, and actionable ways to put your philosophy into work. So it's like your philosophy in action.
Yeah.
What does it look like? I think what's interesting about the example we shared is that she kind of tied in some of the more contracting items into the philosophy. Like we put our devices away at 9 p.m. That's something that would obviously be in the philosophy. Yeah, I think it's a really great thing together. Should we go through it?
Well, I think let's talk about it by sort of section, and then maybe we can call out maybe, one or two items
Yeah,
that we think are great.
It's
'Cause
not
long.
short.
Yeah, it's long.
not short. Yeah.
Long in a good way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think, there are different contracts out there for like, your screen time and wellness in the digital age. Not wellness in the digital age, but like your tech use.
Yeah.
And I think ours is by far superior.
Yeah, ours is, it's holistic, I guess, is something that others are not.
Let's just tone it down.
It's not just only about technology, right? It's about how to get more nature time, how to, connect with other people, how to get a good night's sleep, and really bringing the full experience of wellness in the digital age together in a contract form.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first section,
Yep.
and this is the first section of our book. Well, no, it's not the first section of our book. It's kind of aligned with the book. It's the second section.
Yeah.
It's called Reset.
Yeah.
And this is really the section that is like, again, the first section of the book is all about kind of educating people and ourselves to how strong the pull of the attention economy is, how it's not personal that we check our phones 150 times a day, all those kind of things to kind of build that's like the context for moving forward.
Yeah.
But the first real action step, I would say, is this reset section. And it's broken into two parts. One is looking at technology use, so how to be well with our tech, and then nature.
Yeah.
Let's start with tech.
Reset your relationship with technology and reset your relationship with nature. What's your favorite one here out of these options?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think let's go, let me see this. Let's go, this bookending your day one.
Yeah.
Is that too wild?
No, tell us about bookending
Well,
your
because
day.
we've talked about some of the other ones
Yeah.
so far. Yeah, so okay, here's the deal. We highly recommend, we call it bookending your day, and that's with being basically a tech-free morning routine and a tech-free or unplugged evening routine. And again, this can be, the example we use kind of shared some of this, but this could be filled with things like stretching, meditation, prayer, journaling, reading a physical book, doing a crossword puzzle. It's basically whatever works for you. So the prompt is, each morning I will do the following before starting the rest of my day. And we have a few examples in there. So it's like...
Yeah, you can check off the things that you want to do. There's some blank spaces where you can add in other things that maybe we didn't mention and make it your own.
Right. And, of course, there is... each evening, I will do the following before going to bed. So it's basically creating a morning routine and an evening routine,
Correct.
which I think the more and more I do this, the more and more I feel like sleep is such a key component to all this, staying balanced in the in the digital age. So I think that's a really great one for protecting our sleep.
Yeah, sleep hygiene.
Sleep
It's
hygiene.
important. Okay, that's a good example. Let's move on to the next section.
Okay, reset nature.
Reset nature.
Okay, take it away.
Yeah. And again, this is about resetting our relationship with nature. So there's a bunch of items here that are all aimed at how to be getting outside more intentional with our time and allocating more of it for time in nature. I really like the Get Your DNA. I think Seb came up with that term, daily nature adventure. It's cute, it's clever, I like it. But it's this idea of just getting 15 minutes throughout your day, that amount of time here and there. And I love that one. It's one of my favorite nature doses in terms of 15 minutes. It reduces your stress. It drops your cortisol levels by 16%. With just 15 minutes, that's manageable. I can do that, It doesn't feel like I have to really plan for it. So I like it. It's a good little nugget for me.
Totally.
Yeah. And so the prompt would really be, I will find 15 minutes every day for my daily nature adventure. The best times for my DNA are, and then it's making this really actionable. It could be right when I wake up, just before breakfast, during lunch, after dinner, in between classes or meetings, on the weekends, just before bed, or some other time that I think is really good. And then it asks you to sort of identify what those activities would be. So activities in support of DNA. Taking a stroll in a local park, urban birding, dipping my toes in the ocean, walking barefoot outside, working out outdoors, and then some blank spaces again to make it your own. And finally, really to make this one stick, is to help me achieve this, I will, and the options are put it on my calendar, find a partner to hold me accountable, or expand my adventure circle to include other people, and those people are XYZ, you know? So that one I love. Get your DNA.
Get your DNA. I love it.
Nature.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should we keep it going?
Let's keep it going.
We're doing a quick overview. We won't do a deep dive into the next few.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next section, again, we're just kind of highlighting like one or two from each section.
Correct.
The next section is all about reconnect. This is reconnecting to others, reconnecting to ourselves. Again, counterbalancing one of the biggest challenges of living in the digital age, which are isolation, social isolation, and a sedentary lifestyle. So these are ways to get more human connection and get more connection to yourself. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, Sonia, what one do you want to choose?
I mean, I like the first one that we have on here, reconnecting to others. For me in particular, it's easy to stay comfy and cozy on my couch with a good book or a good TV show, or just, doing things that are easy and feel safe and convenient. And sometimes it's hard for me to push myself out of that. But when I do, I feel a lot better. And so this one, reconnecting to others, essentially is just saying, like, I will prioritize social connection over comfort and convenience by, and then there's some options there, of joining a meetup group, signing up for an adult rec league, starting or joining a book club, talking to a stranger every day, skipping the self-checkout line, hugging friends and family, cuddling with my partner, getting a pet, or maybe it's something else. These are just ways for me to really commit to making sure I don't become a couch blob.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. This is probably one of my favorite sections. Again, keep it brief here, but this is the rewire section, which is a huge part of the book and a huge part of our work, which is like basically the deeper work of wellness in the digital age. So it includes things like mindfulness and developing a growth mindset. But really, I think the one I'll share is mindfulness is such a key part of what we do, and it's really the foundation for doing this work, really, in my opinion. And so it's really the capacity for building our ability to pay attention with intention. And again, it's similar to just like going to the gym to build muscle or strength or flexibility or whatever you're working on. Practicing mindfulness is really the only way to kind of hone that skill and ability. So we have some wonderful prompts on how to incorporate the following formal practices. That's things like mindful breathing, yoga, tai chi, body scan, and then also how to bring in the informal practices into our life.
What are the informal ones?
Informal ones can be anything, really. It's basically anything outside of when you're doing the formal practice. So it could be doing a podcast. It could be listening to a podcast. Or, washing the dishes, doing a nature walk. Driving, I think, is a really good one. Talking to a friend, doing the laundry, showering.
Yeah. And so the idea would be doing all of those in a very present way.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, take it away. This is recharge.
Yeah, the final section, one of my favorites. This one's really about protecting your sleep, finding time for play, and getting creative. So really, filling your cup up to the top. Really thriving, not just surviving, right? I think for me the best prompt in here is the reconnecting to your creativity. I think as adults we tend to sort of not prioritize creativity or think it's frivolous or something we just get to do once a year or when there's time. But the prompt really is about understanding how useful creativity is, both for our cognitive well-being, but also sort of finding joy and the sort of a spiritual connection, etc. So it's really just asking, or prompting us to say, I will do the following creative activities. And then there's a everyday section, a once a week section, a once a month section. And so you can figure out what's reasonable to you. Maybe, it's nothing every day, or maybe it's just singing in the shower every day. And then once a week, maybe you write a song or a poem, or you paint or do something that might take a little more time. And once a month, a home improvement project's also an example of getting creative, or making like a handmade gift. So I really love creativity. I go through phases of how much I incorporate it, but this section's a great one to end with.
Wonderful work. And of course, there's a place for an individual to sign their name on the dotted line, or you can get the whole family involved as well, or a partnership or team or whatever you want to do. So that's kind of the gist of a quick overview of your philosophy and contract for wellness in the digital age. And again, these two in tandem, I think it's a unique combination of things, and they're really, really powerful tools to, I think when you're at the stage that you're like, okay, I need to do something, and I'm looking for some accountability, not just kind of have these ideas floating around like, oh yeah, it's good to get my technology out of the bedroom, but really like write it down, put it into action. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. And I think going through the experience of filling this out, there will be plenty of things that you hadn't thought about before. I mean, a lot of these, I hadn't really thought about it until I was forced to articulate it, write it down. Right. And so that's another really valuable piece of this exercise and activity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well said. And you can access the philosophy and contract, as we mentioned, on our website for free. So you just go to our website, which is www.natureunplugged.com. Click on free resources. There'll be a few different options, including the podcast, blog, other things. Scroll on down. You'll see philosophy and contract. And there you have it. And it'll download. It's magical. Cool. Well, that'll do it for this episode of the Nature Unplugged podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can find our episodes on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, and basically wherever you get your podcasts. We would love it if you took a moment to rate and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and on YouTube. We're now on YouTube, so that helps us a ton. Be sure and check out natureunplugged.com again, not only for your philosophy and contract, but for more information on coaching, our workshops, presentations, retreats, which we're excited to get going again soon as as we sort of move out of the pandemic. And again, lots of other wonderful resources, including this podcast. Thanks so much, and we will catch you next time. Bye. Bye.
Things change like seasons out of our control. If you think you should go, I will let you go.